I heard a story recently about an unusual acting class assignment. Every student was told to go home and think of a quality they'd like to have more of. Something like courage or generosity or patience. Then the next time they came to class, they were to try to embody that quality in everything they did. I'm sure we could all think of something we'd like to be truer of us. If we were pressed, we could probably all even act like it was true for a while. So here's my question. Why can't we just go ahead and act that way all the time? Why can't we simply be the person we want to? And Jesus is in the middle of teaching when he spots a woman across the room whose spine is so curved that she stands bent over nearly double. Imagine living your life like this, always staring at toenails and chewed gum, never seeing the stars. Imagine the embarrassment over being permanently bowed, and the loneliness of never being able to meet another person's eyes. Usually Jesus waits for people to come to him, but this time he makes the first move. It's like he can't bear not to step in. When he touches the woman, her spine straightens out. She lifts her head and stands upright and starts praising God. Luke has recorded many miracle stories, but this one is not like the rest. It's not just a story about a sick woman. It's a story about the human condition. We're all this woman, and she is us. We've all got a curvature problem. This becomes clear when a third person enters the scene, the ruler of the synagogue. And this man was chosen for his job because he knows his Bible forward and backwards. He's supposed to be a spiritual leader, to help everyone do right by God. And when Jesus heals the woman, the synagogue ruler throws a royal fit. The scriptures clearly state that no one should work on Saturday, he says, and healing is work. If Jesus wants to help this woman, they can both come back tomorrow. Here's the thing. There is a commandment about not working on the day of rest. But there's also an agreed upon exception for watering animals. Why? Because it's cruel to leave your donkey for a whole day without water. So, Jesus says, let me just see if I have this straight. You think it's fine to help a donkey that's been thirsty for a few hours, but not to help a woman who's been suffering 18 years? That's absurd. If the absurdity of this reasoning isn't obvious to this man, that's a sign that something has gone deeply wrong inside him. Something is curving this man's judgment. Something is curving his soul. Maybe his pride. Maybe fear. Maybe a desire for control. Whatever it is, this is not a person thinking straight. He's an expert in Scripture who can't see the first thing about God. Jesus has come to unbend not just this woman, but the man and the rest of us. One of the things that scares some people I know about the thought of becoming religious is that doing so might cost them their personal color, their unique identity. They fear Christianity will make them into one of a few billion, roughly interchangeable, Birkenstock-wearing minions. It will require cutting off all their odd and interesting edges to cram themselves into a tiny, sterilized box of acceptable humanity. These fears aren't entirely without reason. Some of us who've gone to churches have had exactly that experience. We've been made to feel like we needed a personality transplant to be acceptable to God. We've felt pressure to conform to some platonic ideal of perfect manhood or womanhood. Some of us feel like a stress ball in a corset. The harder we try to fit in, the more some part squeezes out. But this attempt to press ourselves and everyone else into some generic box of humanness misses the point. God didn't send Jesus to squish people into unnatural squareness. God sent Jesus to undo the curves so that we could stand up straight for the first time. Every person is going through the world as some bent double version of ourselves. We're bent by fear or pride or shame or envy, by self-hatred or self-obsession, by greed or contempt or addiction or despair. Something is curving each of us inward on ourselves. Something is preventing us from growing into our full stature, our full humanity. It's obstructing our vision, twisting our judgment, squashing our honor, and distorting our design. Jesus doesn't destroy anyone's true shape. That God-given shape is purposefully made and good. Jesus' God-assigned work is to heal the distortions so that we can finally embrace our true form. That healing process doesn't make us more alike, but more original. Bent over double, everyone looks the same. Standing upright, each person embodies unique varieties of strength. It was a game changer in my life when I finally realized that God wasn't trying to bend me out of shape, but to bend me into shape for the first time. God's hand wasn't pressing me down, twisting me into something I could never be. God's hand was drawing me upright into my full height. You can trust yourself to Jesus. He's not going to break you. He will change you, but not into something that's less you. His hand only reaches to unbend you, to remove whatever's false, and to reform the strength that's uniquely yours. To meet Jesus is to meet yourself for the very first time. Let's read the story in Luke 13, verses 10 to 17. One Sabbath day, as Jesus was teaching in a synagogue, he saw a woman who'd been crippled by an evil spirit. She had been bent double for 18 years and was unable to stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, "Dear woman, you are healed of your sickness." Then he touched her, and instantly she could stand up straight. How she praised God. But the leader in charge of the synagogue was indignant that Jesus had healed her on the Sabbath day. "There are 6 days of the week for working," he said to the crowd. "Come on those days to be healed, not on the Sabbath." But the Lord replied, "You hypocrites! Each of you works on the Sabbath day. Don't you untie your ox or donkey from its stall on the Sabbath and lead it out for water? This dear woman, a daughter of Abraham, has been held in bondage by Satan for 18 years. Isn't it right that she be released, even on the Sabbath?" This shamed his enemies, but all the people rejoiced at the wonderful things he did. I'm Megan Larissa Good, and this has been Reading Jesus. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes in Luke with me, and I'll see you next time.